Rural Heritage on RFD TV is brought to you by Rural Heritage Magazine, a bi-monthly magazine featuring articles about farming and logging with draft animal power, small-scale diversified family farming and homesteading, and other aspects of our rich rural heritage. Rural Heritage Magazine, borrowing from yesterday to do the work of today. For subscription information, please call 319-362-3027 or order online at www.ruralheritage.com. Hi, I'm Joe Mishka. Welcome to another episode of Rural Heritage TV.
Hi, my name is Martha Bladen, and I'm the director for the Switzerland County Historical Society. And this is our first pressing of the hay for the year. We just do it one day, though, you know, hay days. Okay, so this project started in 2001. That is when we purchased a hay press. And it was out in East Enterprise area on McCreary's Ridge. And our impetus for seeking a hay press barn was Denver Markland, and he was a high school biology teacher, and he had a collection of all kinds of foot-powered machinery and just every quirky little thing about how things were done. And he said, you've got to save a hay press barn, that it was the economic development of Switzerland County. And so we start doing the research. He tells us where locations of a few are, and when you came and there's a barn down by the parking lot, that is a hay press barn, but it doesn't have a press in it anymore. It was patented in 1843 out at Allensville, which is in our county. And that wasn't the only one. They made over 200 of them, built over 200 of them throughout the county. So that's how it becomes more like an industry rather than just an independent farmer with a new idea. And so this one came for sale out on McCreary's Ridge, and so we were able to purchase it and dismantle it. And so if you look at some of the beams, you will see tagging, so you can realize how they could label things so that they knew what they were taking apart and where they were going to put it back together again. Okay, so we knew we had this barn, but we didn't have a location to build it. And so we were looking for a place not too far from town. We'd like it to be on a main road, and if it could have historic context, that would just be, you know, just perfect. And we were looking up around Markland area, Markland Dam. We weren't finding anything there. And my husband, who has since passed away, but he was not a preservationist in the normal sense of the words. And he said, you're always trying to save something. Save the Bears farm. Well, the family who had lived in the house here, their last name was Bear, and he grew up with the young men of that family. And so I said, well, let me check the history, okay? And the Bears no longer live there. It had been purchased by Dow Chemical, which is right across the river here. And Dow purchased it as buffer property because the people who had lived here for the last 50 years did not like the idea of being across from a chemical plant. And they said it was like daylight 24 hours a day. And so Dow bought it and let it sit. Okay, so when we researched who had originally lived on this site, it turns out it was the Thiebaud family who had immigrated from Switzerland with the Schenk family and the Von Burens. Well, in the development of the whole industry, Ulysses P. Schenk becomes known as the Hay King because he's orchestrating all of the marketing of hay from all of these 200 barns. And his wife, this is where she grew up. Okay, and so her brother is the one who built the hay press that is on the property here, and so, or the hay press barn. So this is what we started with, and we had it dismantled, and then it sat until 2016 before we had enough money and the plan to rebuild it. Now, we did acquire the property from Dow in 2001. Once we told them the story of the significance of the site and the barn as economic development for the area, they liked the idea of having a good use for this. It had to have, nobody had lived in it for over 20 years. Ceilings were falling in. I'm talking about the house now. Parts had been enclosed that we later put to breezeway porch. the way it had originally been. And so it just was a long project. We found funding, and I shouldn't say find, yeah, we did. We found funding through a grant from the Jeffers Foundation in Wisconsin. And they had never funded a project outside of Wisconsin. And the National Trust, we were fortunate enough that Indiana Landmarks had taken an interest in our project, and they said, tell us about your project. And so once we did, they said, well, we have a funder who would like to fund a house museum, no interest in barns. So we were able to restore the house. And then we continued, and we were able to get a grant through Indiana Office of Tourism Development, and this is how we were able to get a matching grant to rebuild.
All of these pieces up here, all are original. The chutes, you see the chutes are pine. It turns out that there was the flatboats that were made in Pittsburgh, they were made out of pine that Darren Rubino has identified as coming from a specific forest in northwestern Pennsylvania. They would have been floated down the Allegheny to Pittsburgh. That's where they made the flatboats. When they brought flatboats down the river, when they got where they were going, they harvested the wood and made other things out of them. The barn that's over there has these interesting holes.
Let me understand this. They would make a flatboat, they would float it down. When it got down here, they didn't have a way to get it back up again. It wasn't like a steamboat.
Right.
They took it apart and used the wood that it was built
Right.
out of to do other stuff.
So you find in these old agricultural buildings and houses too, in this area, tons of pine from that same grove in northwestern Pennsylvania.
And the siding on the barn, when he was talking about the holes.
We now have 4 volumes of America's Rural Yesterday books with photos of farm life 100 years ago. Fieldwork has images of horses in the fields working the ground, planting and harvesting the crop. Barn and Farmyard shows farmers putting that crop in the barn, silo or corn crib and caring for poultry, hogs, cattle and more. In At Home and in Town, farm families prepare Sunday dinner, relax in the parlor, drive to town by buggy or wagon and visit the general store. Finally, Early Tractors has over 250 photos of early American tractors like Alice Chalmers, Oliver, John Deere, Farmall, Minneapolis Moline, and many more. These photos are of new tractors back in the day and show how they were configured coming out of the factory. Buy any of these books for $24.95 plus shipping. When you buy 2 or more, the price per book goes down, all the way to $17.49 per book when you buy all 4. To order, just call 1-877-647-2452 or order online at www.ruralheritage.com. That's 877-647-2452.
The original barn, the core of it is intact. Every part of the hay press is intact. The press, which was patented in 1843, was part of a nationwide push to make hay, which the percentage of farm ground that was given over to hay was anywhere from 25 to 40% in early America, and way more because feeding cattle, horses, mules, oxen, and as the Industrial Revolution took off, then there was more and more use for horses to power all the machinery that people just were inventing things left and right. Hay was gasoline, hay was oil. The mansions on Market Street, the Schenck Mansion, were all funded by people who made so much money selling hay that they were able to become very wealthy. If you think of the economics that would make it worthwhile to grow hay in Indiana, float it down the river, transfer it to sailing ships, and go up the eastern seaboard, that's a lot of work. You don't do that unless there's profit. So this hay press, which was you know, they talk about, the literature talks about presses, but this particular configuration of a hay press had fallen into, had been forgotten. I called the Smithsonian early on during this project, and they hadn't heard of a hay press. They had there's some beautiful barn books. They didn't mention hay presses. So thanks to Denver Markland and Martha, the whole world knows about hay presses. Switzerland County was the epicenter. There were hay presses as far, there were some in Ohio, some in Kentucky, some down around Corydon. No two are exactly alike. I've not seen. There's only probably parts and I think there might be 12 that are still intact. I only know of 3 or 4 that run, and but again, no two are exactly alike. So briefly, the press part of that is that there's a great big cast screw in the down below, and what we'll do is we'll run several. We'll load it several times, drop the weight to compress it, and then people could go downstairs and see what's happening downstairs. So each time the horse makes a round, and it didn't have to be a horse, it could have been an ox, could have been a cow. It could have been 4 or 5 stout people because of the length of the arm and how much mechanical advantage it gives. But every time it goes around, the weight, which is, that's the weight, a solid block of oak gets raised up, and this chamber here goes down 4 inches. We'll open the doors, fill it full of hay, and the horse will go around and lift the weight back up and lower the floor of the chamber 4 inches each time. What that will do is, and then the last time you reverse the horse, and now that screw goes the other way, and it pushes that chamber up against the weight, and the weight's dogged by these. You'll see there's 2 wooden wedges that flop out, and that keeps the horse from just lifting the weight up. And then we tie the bale, lift the weight up, open the doors, and pull the bale out. We are so slow that if the people that ran these things were here, they would die laughing. Now, all the misses, all the pitchfork marks up there, those aren't all ours. They were in a hurry. They would bring the hay in, and if there were not wagons waiting, they would just bale it right off the wagon. If there was a row of wagons waiting, they'd dump the hay over there and keep going, go out to the field, get more. So multiple farmers could use the same press. Not every farmer had a press. A big farm would afford to, but it kind of like a grist mill. A grist mill, somebody built one, they'd grind their own stuff, but they'd also do it for others. So what we're doing now is bringing the floor back up by just running the horse. It's kind of like a motor. If you get it out of timing, you got problems. Those openings there, those are so that you, after we got enough hay in there, we can slide the ropes, the twine to tie it. We found that at some places they use bark, some places they use wire, depends what was available. We're just using regular baling twine. And when you tie it with the weight still down, so it's still under pressure, and then when you pull the weight up, the hay expands and makes it tight.
So is it just one string? I mean, I see several strings,
There's,
but you don't double it.
no, well, yeah, we haven't, you know, and I guess, you know, the other thing is that we're using, this hay is relatively dry. You know, I don't know whether more moist hay would have made it harder to keep it, put more pressure on or not, to tell you the truth. We can go ahead and close that back door. Wait, oh, sorry, leave that one open first. If this, hold up, if you slam this door hard enough, this will run around and lock itself. Let's try to open it up and then take a, yeah, just run at it as hard as you can. Perfect. That is elegant, if you ask me. Okay, so you can, how high up are you? Are you high enough?
We can't go higher than this.
Because of the knot?
Yeah, we can't go higher than this.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so now this is what is the hopper. So you open this and now you just fill it up with hay. Now there's some other pulleys here which, just go ahead. There's some other pulleys here which they had a system where the guy down below could trigger the door. Yep. All right. You close her up. Whoa.
Okay, did I go too fast? Yeah, this side doesn't stay.
Okay. They said that old timers, Denver said that, so Denver died, I don't know how long ago. He'd be 100 by now. He said when he was a kid, he remembers old timers telling him that when they ran the press, you could hear the weight drop from a mile away. Okay, so now we, at the same time we open this, you can lift it up again. That's what busted. Now see, these are what will go out and lock in against there. So,
Yep, those are the hooks.
okay, you need two people over here. I'm gonna stick this through, put a hook on it,
What time are you
and then you put
planning on doing
stick
that? 'Cause I'm
that through, and I will
if
hook
I just leave
that.
and you drive me home, I can put on
You
change
see?
clothes and go with you.
One of you guys wanna
Eat somewhere. I was hungry.
jump in here? When I stick this through,
Yeah.
put the loop on that, and then
Go through the bottom.
I will put the loop on top, then you pull this out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good?
Yep, good.
right? You can pull.
Would change.
Okay, so then we have both loops, and we just tie it. So then we go to the next one and do the next one.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Good?
Yeah.
He's already doing it.
Not really. I've never seen anything on exactly what kind of knot they use.
Right.
Any knot, pretty much, since it's going to self-tighten.
Yeah, so long as it's a knot that won't come out. Right.
Right,
Right. Yeah.
And-
The square knot is what we always did baling hay. But I don't know. You
Yeah.
want one that you can tie, because you want it fairly tight.
Yeah.
Even though it does self-tighten, you still want it fairly
Yeah,
tight.
some kind of variation on a Beckett bend would probably be what I would do. But
I don't
All
know
right.
knots. I should, but I don't know knots.
let me show you how I'm tying this knot here. And this is, see, you see, you could pull that like
Right.
that,
Right.
and then you could just go right, shove it up like this.
Going under and then through the loop.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
now-
really, if you pulled on that, you would
could-
come loose.
Right.
Gotcha.
Okay, so now the only thing we got to do is get the weight off, and then we will tumble the bale out.
Where is our placement bale?
We usually always put a bale just a little
Like a small square.
a square belt on
Yeah.
it so that the weight doesn't drop down on wood against
Right.
wood.
Right. So I think it's a bench.
Yeah.
Beauty.
This program is available for purchase. To order your copy, please call 319-362-3027 or visit www.ruralheritage.com. Rural Heritage is a bi-monthly magazine dedicated to draft animal farming and logging, as well as other aspects of our rich rural heritage. It is published by Mishka Press, which also offers a complete line of back-to-the-land books, DVDs, and calendars. Call or write for a catalog or subscription information, or visit our website at www.ruralheritage.com.